I've been in town since 1971, and in 1980 it became known in the newspapers that there was a problem with VLAC pipes.
The pipes were initially installed back in the 60s by many towns up and down the New England seaboard, the seacoast, and they were touted by the producer of these pipes to be everlasting. They were the end-all be-all, nobody would ever have to replace these pipes. The problem was so many orders were coming in. From what we understand, the producer was actually spraying this vinyl lining within the asbestos-cement pipes. That lining wasn't cured properly before it was shipped out and installed into the streets. And it's that lining that's been actually leaching tetrachloroethylene, otherwise known as PCE, into the water.
The water department determined there were somewhere around 60 streets in town that had these VLAC pipes because they knew the timeline that they were installed. They were installed between the late 1960s and they ended at 1980 when the federal government said you can't do it anymore. As the PCE diminishes, the vinyl lining can break down to polyvinyl chloride, which is a known carcinogen. So it's something you really don't want to have in your water system. The first cancers they connected to it was lung cancer because you're breathing in the steam from either a shower or cooking over the stove in boiling water. So they put some bleeders in, which meant at the end of the dead ends they would run a 2-inch pipe out and just run the water full tilt, 5 to 7 gallons a minute, out into the bushes and keep the water running so it didn't stagnate at the end of a cul-de-sac. That went on until the late 1996, when one of the neighborhoods who had tested very high asked a water department employee what they were doing with a bleeder, and he says, oh, it's for the PCE, and that individual neighbor was a chemical engineer. And he immediately went down to town hall and started demanding answers. And of course, new individuals were now at town hall, new water supervisors, new town manager, new DPW director, who they didn't know a great deal, but they scrambled quickly. I give them credit. They had a special town meeting in the fall in October. It was overwhelmingly approved at town meeting that all the pipes would be replaced, and they would start the funding at $1.5 million, and that every year at the capital budget at town meeting they would add an additional $400,000 and try to continue and do it in 7 years. But in 2004 to 2005, for whatever reason, the money was coming out of the water enterprise account. It was not coming out of the tax rate. And they decided that they would decrease the $400,000 to $100,000. It would take 3 or 4 years before you had enough money to do one street. So it's been dragged out now for 22 years. And we're down now to 5 streets.
People need to understand is that it doesn't matter what street you live on as far as if that street still has these old pipes or yours was replaced already, because all of the pipes, the water pipes in Duxbury, are interlinked like a big web. So the contaminants from any one street are going to flow through the entire water supply. So everybody is exposed. It's not just limited to a particular street where those pipes are located.
They can't take them out of the ground. They're hazardous waste. They have to stay in the ground. But they will run a parallel line of brand new piping and brand new pipe laterals into houses. And it will take the better part of a year, and depending on weather, it could take a year and a half. The goal of the EPA and the DEP in Massachusetts is 0. That's your health goal, and the only way you get 0 is to replace the pipes.